right, what's up, Pride Nation? This is Raw Detroit with another video coming to you raw, clear, and unfiltered. Definitely coming to you raw. There's a lot of blame to go around in Detroit for what's going on with this disaster right now, currently with the Detroit Lions. There's a lot of injuries on the team. There's players that have not even played yet that we're still waiting to see take the field in 2022. And I'm talking i.e. Levi and also i.e. Josh Pascal, also waiting on the return of J-Mo as well. Now, there's been a lot of injuries, DeAndre Swift getting hurt, Amon-Ra St. Brown getting hurt. I mean, it's a lot of guys on this team getting banged up, Amani being hurt. I mean, it's just a lot of things that's going wrong with the Detroit Lions. But, it's always the next man up mentality, I know we can blame the injuries and stuff like that, but we got depth. That's what I was told. And I know a lot of people have been talking about the Detroit Lions, and I've watched all the videos where people are saying that the future is bright in Detroit. And I'm talking about people that's not even a Detroit Lions fans that have been making videos on the Detroit Lions telling everyone that the future is bright and everything looks like it's on the upright. And true that it is. Things are looking up. But at the same time, the only thing that's going to really change the culture in Detroit is winning football games. Nothing else matters on Sunday, guys, but winning football games. At the end of the day, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and their staff is going to be judged on how many wins can this regime produce on Sundays. That's what they're going to be held accountable to. As fans, we should hold these guys accountable. Sometimes fans don't think that you need to say anything about Brad Holmes. They don't think that you need to say anything about Dan Campbell. They think that you don't need to say anything about Aaron Glenn. But we got to hold them to it. We got to hold these guys accountable. We want to win. Yeah, we know it's year 2 of a rebuild. But we come to a point where it can't just be all these excuses. It can't just be having the pep rallies and all these speeches on Monday morning trying to figure out why this thing is starting to be a meltdown. We got to lick our wounds. We got to put the bandages over our wounds. And we got to get back up there and fight another Sunday. I've been a Lions fan for a long time, and I've always wanted to see this team win. I've always wanted to see this team win. And I don't know if I'll ever experience it. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for the Detroit Lions. But what I know and what I'm seeing currently, I don't like it. And all I'm doing is just holding the GM. All I'm doing is just holding the head coach and the coaching staff accountable. You should hold these guys accountable. If you are a Detroit Lions fan, you need to be holding these guys accountable. The talent that we have on the roster, on the defensive side of the ball, is pathetic. Guys that have not even played yet. We still haven't seen Romeo Okwara after the big deal that we've given him. Julian Okwara, why did we keep him on the team? He's not really doing anything. None of our guys are doing anything. We didn't even get a sack yesterday. And I'm tired of people talking about these pressures. Pressures means nothing if you can't get to the guy and sack him. I can have 1,000 pressures, but what good is it if I can't sack the quarterback and take him down? I don't even think yesterday in the game that we had one sack. I think they sacked Jared Goff one time, but we did not sack them at all. And I don't want to blame Hutchinson because I know that he's a rookie and I know that he's going to have an up and down season. And right now, I know he's supposed to be the guy that is supposed to impact the Detroit Lions, but he can't do them by himself. I believe that Charles Harris he may not played in this game. I'm not 100% sure on it, but he didn't play in this game. So where's the push going to come from? Where are the other guys? Because I've been hearing I've been hearing a lot about the depth. That we got a lot of players that can just get out there and ball out and do their thing. See, now the offense is starting to get figured out. We thought that we would never probably get figured out so early, but the Patriots came prepared to play us. And we know that we haven't won in New England in a long time. And I had the Lions losing this game in New England. I did not think that the Detroit Lions would go into New England and win the game. They haven't done it in 29 years. So what is giving you the confidence as a fan to think that we're just going to go into New England and just win and walk away with the win and beat Matt Patricia and it's going to be all good? They play disciplined football, and it's based upon just playing a game of adjustments, and it's almost like playing chess. And pretty much we lost our chess match to Bill Belichick. We know that he's the mastermind behind the New England Patriots, not Matt Patricia being the offensive coordinator, turning from being a defensive coordinator to an offensive coordinator now. We know it's not him. We know that it's Bill Belichick that is making sure that this ship is running right in New England. But you see all the people bigging this team up in the offseason, hitting you with a shot of hopium, giving you that hopium every offseason that this team is going to the playoffs. You can't critique the Lions, or you can't give this team corrective criticism without somebody or some fan being mad at you for what you're saying. And like I said before, guys, if you don't like the things that I say out of my mouth and the truth about the Detroit Lions, then you came to the wrong channel, because I'm not sugarcoating anything for anyone, anyhow, in any way. I'm not sugarcoating this thing for you. I'm going to give this thing to you, whether you like it or not, because I need you to understand that we want to win football games, and we gotta hold these guys accountable. We are 4-17-1 under this new regime of Dan Campbell. You gotta let Dan Campbell go through this fire. We can't just continue to keep hopping around on all of these different coaches. But at the same time, this thing is getting worse, man. This thing is imploding before your very eyes. Did Brad Holmes miss out on some draft picks? Of course. Do GMs get it right all the time? They don't get every player right. And I know that, guys. I know football. I understand football. I play football. I know what it's all about. I know what you need to have success to win as being a football team. I know that you need the type of players you need in Detroit to be able to change the dynamic of the team. And Detroit needs premium talent. Like I've been telling you guys a very, very long time ago, that the Detroit Lions need to have premium talent on the defensive side of the ball. The offense is playing well, but they're not going to be able to, they're going to be in shootouts pretty much with everybody that they play, and only to get the short end of the stick every single game. Because even though we got the number one offense in the league, it really means nothing. It don't mean anything just because you have the number one offense. You can't stop anybody defensively. If you were to get into the playoffs, you would get crushed because this defense can't stop anybody. We can't stop the run game. We're coming off 2 games where we allowed the running backs to run over 150 yards plus. We gave a career day to Rashard Penny. We gave a career day to Ramondre Stevenson. 61 yards against the Patriots with Ramondre Stevenson. Rashard Penny rushed over 150 yards. We have given up a lot of yards on the ground. Guys like Derek Barnes should be a way ahead of the schedule than what he is. Derek Barnes offers us nothing right now at this point. We're playing with house money on the defensive side of the ball. We don't have all our starters. We need Levi. We may not never see Levi Onwuzurike ever start or ever play for the Detroit Lions, because we don't know how severely his chronic back issues are. We don't know. The Detroit Lions try to hold everything secretive instead of just giving us fans the transparent truth about the team. We need to know who's going to be out there every single Sunday. Who's going to give the effort? Who's going to be the playmaker? And if we do have the talent that we have on our team, why aren't we getting the results on defense? There's enough finger pointing to go around for everybody. You could finger point Amani Oruwariye having a bad season. You could finger point us not having Levi and Josh Pascal, J-Mo. We can finger point at Aaron Glenn defense being trash. We can finger point Dan Campbell not having these guys ready on Sunday and ultimately calling all of these fourth down plays where you're going for it on 4th and 9, which you probably shouldn't have went for it. But he's obsessed with going for it on 4th down. And there's nothing wrong with being an aggressive coach. If that's the way that you want to do things, but going 4th and 9, I think that's a little bit much. But maybe a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, something like that, then I can understand it. 4th and 3, maybe you can get the first down. 4th and 9, it may be a little bit tough. And we know that it's challenging in the NFL to win football games. And I keep telling you guys that it's truly, truly, truly hard to win football games on Sunday. But that's the only thing that's going to change the culture of the Detroit Lions is winning football games. We can talk, and we know that talk is cheap. But at the same time, we got to put up and we got to shut up. We got to put up and we got to shut up. Because we're not putting up anything. So we just need to shut up because we think that we can beat everybody. And we should feel that way. But when you see these guys play on Sunday, you're not getting those results. You're not getting the results that you want as a fan. You're not seeing it. We should not be worse. We should be winning just a few more games than what we won last season. We won only 3 games last season, and you could possibly not win another game this season, or maybe you can win 4, or maybe even 5 or 6 games. I don't see this team winning that many more games. The way this defense is playing, I do not see the Lions being able to win possibly another game. Maybe they win against the Bears. I don't know. Maybe they upset somebody, the Giants or whoever. I don't know. But the way the Giants and the Jets are playing, it doesn't look like we're going to beat those guys. And I'm just keeping it a hundo with you. I'm just keeping it real with you. Brad Holmes hasn't done everything correctly. As a GM, do you make mistakes? Yes. But you don't draft guys that can't help you right away. Do injuries happen? Yes, we know that. It's the game of football. It's physical. It's a gladiator sport. We know guys are going to get hurt. But there's enough finger pointing in the blame game to blame everybody for this debacle and what's going on in Detroit. All these media people was feeding you guys is a bunch of lies. We don't need to be told lies at all about this team. We need to know the truth about our team. Because at the end of the day, we want to win in Detroit. At the end of the day, we want to win. And we as fans need to hold our management, the Fords, accountable. We need to hold Brad Holmes accountable for getting the talent to Aaron Glenn on defense. And now you got to go back again in 2023 and get more defensive players. You got to draft another defensive tackle, possibly to replace Levi, because you don't know if Levi is going to ever get out on the field. The verdict is still out on what type of player Josh Pascal is going to be. The verdict is out on what type of player J-Mo is going to be. We don't know yet. We know that he can take the top off of defense. We know that he's one of the fastest players in the NFL. But we're still waiting. We're still taking that wait and see approach. We should have never brought back Tim Boyle, like I said before, on this roster. We should have never brought back David Blah. We should have got us a young guy. Maybe took somebody in the later rounds. We could have did that and just groomed a young fella, whoever it was going to be. You had that opportunity, Detroit. You were at the Senior Bowl. You had an opportunity to bring one of these guys onto the roster, but you chose not to do none of it. And then you go back in the season, right before the season start, and you're out there looking for a backup quarterback. So you just go and get the guy from San Francisco that they released, pretty much, Nate Sudfeld. So he has to learn the playbook. Then you have to bring Tim Boyle back on the practice squad just in case. Just in case. It's like break the glass. Just in case. So there's a lot of blame to go around in Detroit. There's a lot of finger pointing to go around in Detroit for everybody. But this team ultimately has to get better. Because right now, what I'm seeing in Detroit is not a good thing, man. It's nothing to laugh about. It's nothing to smile about. You got a head coach that's 4-17-1 career record wise, and it could get worse. His record could get worse than what it is right now. You have a GM that people don't want you to say anything about and just say that he's done everything correct. And then he got an A in the draft. I didn't give this man an A. I gave him a C. Gave him a C. Because I knew that he left some talent on the table. So now you got to make sure you go and get a defensive tackle. Maybe another defensive end. Maybe you got to go get definitely got to go get some linebackers. You may have to get another safety in a corner. I mean, it's just crazy, man, on the things that we do, man, that ultimately hurt us at the end of the day. I want to see the Detroit Lions win, man. I'm hungry to see these guys win. I know you guys are hungry to see the Detroit Lions win. To me, I think that the Force should sell the team. Under their leadership and under their regime, we have been trash. We've been rebuilding since 1957. Look at the draft picks that we draft. None of these guys are here. We don't have Jelani Tavai on this team. He should be one of the linebackers on this team still, if he worked out. Jarrad Davis should be one of the guys on this team if he worked out. We should just be putting in pieces right now. That's all we should be doing. Building depth and putting in pieces to get this team better. Look at the second round nightmares that we've been having in the second round. And I'm not blaming that on Brad Holmes. I'm just talking about historically the Detroit Lions getting it wrong with the second round picks. Go into the history and do your homework and see how many draft picks that we've drafted that we didn't hit on. The problem in Detroit is we don't draft well. We do not draft well. We'll hit on one or two guys and that'll be it. We don't hit on like 4 or 5 guys out of the draft class. We'll hit on 1 or 2 guys. They'll play subpar for a little while, but they ain't becoming Pro Bowlers. They ain't becoming all pro. We don't have that, man. And we need that. We need dogs on defense. And if I'm the GM of the Detroit Lions, my mind and my total focus and concentration would be on getting dogs on the defensive side of the ball. Guys that can play. Guys that's going to give 110 when they're out there. Linebackers that's going to be flying around making tackles, getting a strip sack, punching the ball out. Smart players. Very instinctive players. Is what I'll be looking for. No longer can you accept just going out and getting anybody. You got to go out there and find the dogs that's going to help change this team. Because if not, you just have a bunch of guys on a roster. And that's what we got in Detroit. All we have is a bunch of guys on this roster. Nobody is really making an impact. Nobody is doing anything defensively to get any turnovers, any interceptions, nothing. We're not doing anything defensively wise. And all we're doing is hurting ourselves. And everybody is talking about us, saying our future is bright. But the future is not bright until you start winning football games. The future is not bright until you start winning. That's when you can start looking up. We should not be getting worse. We should be progressing and getting better. We should be coming out of this season with at least 7 wins. At least. I know that this team is not going to the playoffs. I never thought that they were going to the playoffs. I never said that this team was going into the playoffs. But as the season continues to dwindle down, now your hopium is going away. Because I know us as fans, we get that hopium shot every offseason, and we think that we can conquer the world and that we're going to beat all these teams, only to realize when the NFL starts, you get let down. And this has been on repeat, rinse and repeat every single season, only to get let down after your hopium goes away. Because we all hope for this Lions team to be better. We all want to see us have some playmakers. But we don't have that. And until the Detroit Lions can get talent on the defensive side of the ball, this franchise and this team is not going anywhere. No time soon. They're not going anywhere. You got to go out there and you got to go find some dogs. You got to go find guys that are hungry. You got to go find guys that want to see this team ultimately get to the next level, and that's winning. Right now, I just don't know what to say about this team. I don't know what to say about these guys anymore because they just let you down so much, man. We laid a goose egg in New England. We didn't even score a point. And all people kept talking about is this high-powered offense. But now the high-powered offense got shut down. The defense couldn't make a stop or a play. Aaron Glenn has to get the defense together. Brad Holmes has to get the talent in Detroit. Dan Campbell has to know how to coach better and know when to be able to go for these fourth down conversions and stuff like that. So right now, all we're doing is finger pointing and trying to figure out who to point the finger at next for all the issues and the problems that's going on in Detroit. It's nothing but a blame game that's going on in Detroit right now. And we're just looking at a finger to point at somebody to hold them responsible for the way this team is competing on Sundays. We want to win football games in Detroit. Nothing else really matters. If that means that we got to trade away players to bring in talented players, then do it. If we got players on our team that you know that are an asset to the team, but they can also help us get better, if we need to trade those players, i.e. Swift, i.e. Hockenson, maybe even Jared Goff, anybody that adds value, we got to do what we got to do, man. This is year 2 of the rebuild, and this thing is going backwards, man. It's not going forward. We're stagnant right now until we be able to get the talent on this team to go into the right direction. We're stagnant in Detroit, and we're playing the blame game. So we'll see next week who will blame this thing on, because the season's going to continue to go on and on and on and on. So, all right, you guys, I'll be back to you guys soon with another video. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back. Peace.